Mary is, I don't think I'll use Cheryl's word, rocketing through her Confident Communicator Manual. She's going to present Project 7 today. Research your topic. Objectives, collect information about your topic from numerous sources. Carefully support your points and opinions with specific facts, examples, and illustrations gathered through research. I think she should get half credit as a mentor because when we listened to Fallon's speech last week, Mary's progress kind of reverse motivated her mentor to be competitive and say, I can't let my mentee get done before me. Fallon did her speech last week. Mary's speech is noted as the passages between. It's 5 to 7 minutes, please, timer. And without a proper reference to infamous, because she does well and is exacting of herself and all her efforts. Please welcome Mary Luck.
Ironically, in my own head, I'm rather infamous because I'm doing a lot of the speech off the top of my head. The passages in between refers to something, well, starting out a week or two ago, I talked about politics. And I know you're not supposed to talk about politics and religion in a polite conversation, so I figured to balance things out, I should talk about religion this week. The passages in between starts with sitting in church on a Sunday and hearing a familiar reading talking about wives should submit to their husbands and blah, 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 blah. But if you look at the corner, they usually give you the little footnotes of where that passage came from, and they left out a few in between. So somebody is in charge of going through and selecting exactly what pieces of the Bible you hear on a given weekly basis. And they might have 10 paragraphs in there, but they cut out paragraphs 3 and 4 in the middle to shorten the readings or to make it more key on what they want to focus on. And that got me thinking, what are they leaving out? I want to know. So I looked it up, and that particular Bible passage talks about submitting to each other in service and doing the best in whatever role you have in a given day. And it also talks about slaves being submissive to their masters. And in today's day and time, that might not be politically correct. Some versions might now say servants. But it's giving justice and giving duty where you're supposed to do your duty and do things you want to do. One of my other research examples is when you pass a street preacher on the street and they say, you know, the Bible, this every single word is what I believe. It's not a good thing to ask them which version of the Bible, because there's a lot of different interpretations of the Bible, of the Quran, and other religious texts, whether you're reading it in the original language and whatever other source documents you have. You can spend a lot of time going into research and learning Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, and trying to get more sense of where you want to go with what's in the Bible. And everyone has their own different interpretation depending on where their body of knowledge is and where you go with that. This is one of the things I picked up to do in my free time, which I haven't gotten very far with. This is a study Bible that has 4 different versions side by side. And in Genesis, one of the things that first struck me that I read talking about the creation of the world, and a lot of different cultures have their own creation story and history. Well, the Bible version of it talks about, you know, creating the creatures of the sea and the creatures in the land. Well, one version from the King James Bible talks about creating great whales and every living creature that moveth, which with the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every living fowl of his kind. Well, the next one, instead of talking about whales, talks about great sea monsters. What a difference just that phrase has in your head about what kind of creatures were created and what that means. The other one just says, let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, and the birds fly above the earth and the open expanse of the heavens. So whether it's living creatures, or great sea monsters, or whales, that's one small part of the Bible that we interpreted different ways by different people across the years. Now imagine all the other phrases of the Bible and their interpretations across the years. This is probably a research project I started a long time ago, and I don't think it'll be ending anytime soon. Maybe if I do live to 120 and beyond, maybe I get through this book, but there's a lot of other interpretations out there. Whether you want to look at things from an architectural version of the Bible, a geographic-based version of the Bible, they have different versions for people that want to emphasize different parts of research, and you see where it goes along there. There's more modern interpretations where they've made it more politically correct. So whatever things that might move you to look into the Bible for more research. But I encourage you to look at that not only from a religious background if you choose to practice, but other news sources. There's a lot of information going around the internet right now about fake news. And maybe it was a conspiracy. Did Russia influence our news and politics by sending out these different stories about one candidate who may go down in infamy for a lot of things that have been said? Or another candidate, why was this issue magnified a lot more? Why do we care more about someone's clothing or hairstyle than what their policy issues are or whatever? You have to go dig in through someone's website, but the news that people want to hear isn't necessarily reported on. One of the news sources that I found very interesting to do additional research is looking at international news. When I first went overseas to Germany and started looking at where things were around the world, I realized that the United States has a lot of news about what the United States is doing and what the United States is doing to impact other countries. But other countries, maybe having a more global worldview, actually report on things happening in other countries, even if, say Germany is reporting on what's going on in India and China, but not what Germany is doing over there. It's just what these other countries are doing as well that we should be aware of, and how that might be impacting things. So beyond the US-based news sources that may be biased towards one political party or philosophy or another, I encourage you to try and find maybe the British news channel or another, maybe Al-Qaeda might be something, Al Jazeera, I think it's the international Arabic-based news one that could give you a different point of view depending on what kind of internet access you have and you want to see who's watching. But there's also a lot of blogs now. Everyone can say their own information, their own opinion about what's going on in their version of the world. As for me, every time I go to church now, I'm still looking at the Bible passages and what's there. And every time there's something in between, I take a picture of it on my phone. I have to work a little bit harder to make time to go back and actually go through and read all of those. But that's my ongoing research project into certain biblical passages. But in light of the fact of a trip to Italy that talked about Galileo, took 400 years for the church to forgive Galileo for saying that the earth went around the sun instead of the other way around. I know there are certain things that we hear about certain religions today that may or may not be how we interpret things going forward in the future, that in light of history. But beyond Bible readings and the passages in between and where you get your information sources, biographies and autobiographies, again, are a really awesome way to find out more about different parts of the world where you're looking and not looking, to see what Trump thought in the Art of the Deal back in '87 and how that ties into things today. Team of Rivals is really fascinating, talking about the Lincoln presidency and how much politics has changed, but it's still the same now, 150 some years later. And there's a bunch of other ones I can recommend if you're into biographies. But in the meantime, think about the passages in between and be careful about cherry picking certain quotes out of context, because a whale, a tail, or a great sea monster make a little bit of difference.